This is a series of balance exercises. There are 4, and we're going to go through them one by one. We'll begin with just a little bit of grounding, so placing the feet about hip or shoulder width apart. You want the feet to be parallel, so pointing the toes forward. Most people will tend to stand with the toes pointed out, so you're going to look down for a moment and get those feet parallel. It feels kind of like you're turning your toes in, but you look and confirm that they're straight. Spread the weight evenly over the bottoms of the feet. You want it to be feeling pressure along the toes, the ball of the foot, working your way toward the pinky toe, and then back along the outer edge of the bottom of the foot to the heel. So ideally your arch is lifted and the whole bottom of your foot is engaged, and you're spreading that pressure out evenly. Also feeling left to right distribution and feeling that that is equal, 50% in each leg. Soften the knees, make sure your knees are not locked. They're still pretty straight, but they're just not locked out. And then stacking the pelvis over the feet, the center of the chest over the pelvis. If you tend to kind of slouch down in your standing, you want to try to lift your chest up. And then the top of the head coming up, the chin relaxing down, the back of the neck getting long. Trying to get nice and tall up through the top of the head. Don't lift your nose and chin up. Lift the top of your head. Imagine that you're like a marionette and you have a wire or a cord suspending you from the ceiling. So you want to feel all those elements of the good upright posture. And then just sinking down, letting the knees and ankles and hips bend slightly. And coming back up. Very small movement, but just settling down. So getting stable and feeling your balance is about connecting to the ground, getting bottom heavy. So letting everything sink back down. Just like a mini squat, but the focus of this is to feel the bottom of the feet and the knees and the low back and the top of the head, your alignment, and to just start to recognize what it feels like to stand and have your weight centered over your base of support, which is your feet in this case. And notice how this feels different than how you might typically stand when you're not thinking about or paying attention to your balance. So if you tend to stand with your toes apart and all the weight on your heels, it's very easy to lose your balance backwards. So you're starting to recognize what a good, stable standing position feels like, so you can go to that more and more often. So the exercise is just to go establish the good posture, the good standing alignment, and just go up and down 10 times and keep that weight distributed evenly over the bottoms of the feet. So that's number 1, just establishing the good stance and going up and down. Number 2, notice we have the chair next to us. This is in case as things get a little more challenging, in case we need to have some more contact and stability. So starting from that good posture now for exercise number 2, which is called rooting or bear rooting. Sinking down, softening the knees a little bit, starting from that good alignment. And then separating the weight or shifting your weight completely into one leg, sinking down and feeling all of the pressure now going into the one leg, in this case my right leg. I want to take my time and really feel and notice, pay attention to that leg you're standing on, feel the leg muscles working, and when you really get established on the one leg, the other leg can just float up. And it's not about standing there forever, it's about feeling that you could move this other leg if you wanted to. And then move it all the way over to the other side, sinking down. Don't be in a hurry. Really try to feel that you're establishing this weight in this leg, and then the other leg lifts up easily. We want to feel really grounded and rooted, so So you imagine your leg like a tree trunk and that there are roots growing through the bottom of your foot into the ground. That's what's holding you steady. And when you lift that other leg, it shouldn't disturb the rest of your balance. When we do this a little too fast, we see kind of tipping, and when you lift the leg, you fall right back down to the other side. So really take your time and try to settle down into the stance leg. Then the other leg comes up. You're just lifting it an inch or so. But again, try not to concentrate on lifting. Try to concentrate on grounding and rooting and feeling stable. It's the stability that gives you that opportunity to move the leg without disturbing your alignment and your posture. So this is number 2. Bear rooting. You can have the chair available for touch. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit far from the chair on this side, so I'm going to just inch closer. When you're using the chair, you want to try to feel that maybe you can keep very light contact, or you're trying to minimize how much you need the chair, but we want to keep it safe. So I go left, I go right, I count that as 1, and I'll do this 10 times. Bear rooting. Number 3, we're going to let one foot turn out in the rear, and the other foot we're going to bring forward. Now we want to bring it forward so that the one foot is clearly in front of the other, but it doesn't have to be a lot. So if I have this line here, I have my toes behind the line and my heel in front of the line. That's as much as I need to go. I don't need to go more than that, but we want at least that much. So we place one foot clearly in the front. We're still shoulder width. The rear foot is turned out about 30 degrees. And then I start practicing moving the weight. I'm going to go back 100%. So this feels very much like the last one. I've got all my weight in the one leg, and the front foot can move. It shouldn't disturb my posture. I just move the leg. And then when I come forward, I'm going to go only 70% and stop there and just feel it settled. I want to keep both knees bent and springy. I want to keep the heel down in the back and the toes down in the front. And now I'm separating that weight 100% into the rear leg, and then 70% forward. And here we want to be mindful of the trunk. We want to make sure that the head and shoulders, rib cage is staying right above the pelvis. So the pelvis moves and the head and shoulders remain stacked over that pelvis. So there can be a tendency sometimes to like pitch forward and pitch back as you're doing this, and you want to avoid that. You want to get that upright trunk, and then it's just called translation, right, or transposing, like you're just staying vertical in your trunk and just moving your weight over the foot. Now you don't need to lift the front foot every time. That's just a test to see if you're getting your weight completely separated. It's not really part of the exercise. So every 4th or 5th one, maybe I'll test. But eventually, you start to feel, and you're confident that you're getting all the weight into the rear leg, and then you don't need to test as much. Just forward and back. So we separated left and right. Now we're separating forward and back, which also has somewhat of a left-right component to it when you think about it, because we still have our feet shoulder width apart. So we do 10 on this side. Change the position. Rear foot 30 to 45 degrees out. Front foot just in front. Again, another way to think about this is if I sweep my foot over, it goes just in front of the toes on the other leg. You could go a little bit further if you're taller, but if you get too long, it gets hard to keep your heel down in the back. So just make sure the front foot is clearly in front, but it doesn't have to be excessive. And then we sit down and back, touch the chair if you need to. 70% forward, 100% back. 70% forward, 100% back. So start with just the shift. And if you want to make this a little bit more interesting, a little bit more functional, you can add arms to this. So in Tai Chi Fundamentals, We have this movement, it's called bear walks with crane arms. Have this kind of wave or whip-like action happening in the arms. Fingers draping as you come forward, and wave moves through. In Aikido, we have a very similar exercise where we just bring the hands up in front of the body as if we're going to catch a ball or we're going to brace. We use this kind of as a technique to create a stable structure where we can impart some energy or absorb something. So this would be the position you would want if you wanted to try to like brace or push something, somebody, hopefully not. But coming forward, arms up, going back, arms down. So we've got weight shift, we've got that coordinated with the upper body. 70%, 100%. How do we know it's 100%? Because this front foot can move and it doesn't disturb the body, the posture. So 10 forward and back. The fourth exercise, we're going to go more into your maybe standard type stance with letting the toes turn out a little bit, 30 degrees or so. And this is called the high step. So again, I'm going to sink, I'm softening the knee. And then the empty foot, leg, I'm going to raise up nice and high. And then come back down with control. Now, in Tai Chi Fundamentals, or in Tai Chi in general, this type of leg position, you want to have your ankle relaxed and the foot dangling off the bottom of the shin. But for PT applications, I'm going to bring the toes up. This is going to help build that P&F pattern of everything coming up and in, raising the toes. It's going to help my dorsiflexion in walking. It's going to help me train myself to get those toes up when I step, so I'm less likely to scuff my foot or shuffle or catch my toe on the edge of the carpet, because I'm training to bring those toes up dorsiflexion so that I get a nice heel toe pattern to my stepping and walking. All right, so we count this one as right, left, 1, and we'll do 10. And notice I'm not trying to stand there forever. You can do this, but this is a different thing. Like just trying to stand on one leg is a different thing. This is like establish the base, raise the leg with control, and then set it back down. So you're kind of moving the whole time, but it's not it's not just marching. And see how now my trunk is all over the place. I want to really focus on feeling that groundedness, the root, alignment, and how the leg moves, but it doesn't disturb the rest of my body. Separating the stability in the base from the moving leg and the posture of the trunk. Okay, so that's number 4. So, quick review. Number 1, just establishing the good shoulder width posture with feet parallel, everything stacked, knees soft, and then just going up and down, feeling your legs working, a little mini squat, feeling that your center of mass is over your base of support and what that feels like. That you're not too far back on your heels, you're not too far forward on your toes, you're perfectly centered in your stance. Number 2, separating side to side, bare rooting on one leg. Don't disturb the posture. Take your time to settle. Number 3, bear walks or forward and back separation, 100% to the rear leg, 70% to the front leg. 10 times. You can put the hands up if you like. This is a little bit more advanced, a little bit more functional. And number 4 is the high step. Sink, raise. Toes up for this one. If you want to work on your heel toe gait, reduce your tripping or scuffing. If you're doing it more Tai Chi like, just let the ankle dangle. High step. Thank you very much.